Usually as I'm driving by a minivan, not only the Sienna, I'm looking at it, not so bad from the profile view, but I will never drive a minivan. Well, what is going on, guys? In the past, I've made videos about the Gulf R in specific and how it's the ultimate daily driver. Then I doubled down and I spoke about, in the same scenario, same situation, same background, how the Gulf R was the ultimate dad hatchback. Well, meet the ultimate dad hatchback 2.0, or 2.5 if you want to make corny dad jokes about the gas engine. But here it is. And in today's video, I want to talk about how we embraced this 2023 Toyota Sienna 25th anniversary edition with open arms. Now, I definitely miss the Golf R dearly, but there's not a doubt in my mind that as the little ones get older, we needed more space. So let's go ahead and just talk about how this is not only the most practical solution, but one of the best family vehicles for your family moving on. So let's get right into it. Now, the first reason why the minivan reigns supreme for all the potential minivan owners out there, this is my first selling point, it is space. The minivan offers a ton, it's space galore. Starting off right here with the trunk, I never appreciated a load cargo floor before I had the chance to go ahead and utilize it to its full potential. And for a quick example, I had a stroller right here, but meanwhile we had the car full of packed with baby stuff. And I needed to move a whole suitcase up to right here. I just fit it in with no problem, and that was one of the moments I realized, hey, this is great. 33.5 cubic feet in total with the seats folded up. That already tells you that it has more space because of the lower cargo floor, has a lot more space than the general 3-row SUV. But not only is that, but the usability of the rear cargo and also the front passenger and also the sliding doors. The sliding doors, especially with the cargo, the super long slide, gives it a lot more potential to go ahead and store all the stuff, especially with groceries. Now, let's say for instance, you're not able to go ahead and open this rear hatchback, as you can see, and you can't take full advantage, maybe because you're parked so close to the wall. Sliding doors definitely help, but when you open a sliding door, it reveals also a lower cargo floor that's flat. And for instance, for example, we were ordering pizza, right? And we had nowhere to put it. Rear cargo, the rear trunk was full. All you had to do is push the long slide, super long slide feature, and then leave the cargo or the pizza box right there on the floor. Whoa. But as I was saying, not only could this be for a pizza box, anything flat from rolling around, you could go ahead and secure it with the seat itself, but I did plenty of Costco runs with the box, storage box right here. And overall, there's so much ample room in here, not only in the second row seats where the ottomans are, but the front passenger and the front driver as well. And speaking of the front passenger, this bridge right here creates a lot more room under here to store. I never had tissue boxes in the car. Now with kids, you definitely need some tissues, right? Some hand sanitizers and all that. This creates a lot of room or potential for storage. Armrest right here, a deep cubby in the center console, and so many cup holders that you can't even think of. So storage wise, not only for cargo, but for your belongings, for your phones, for your little gadgets, cups, everything. the minivan wins. Now, my next selling point would be seating comfort. Now, with so many seating configurations, everyone's going to be comfortable in here, but let's talk about these front seats right here. Now, the 25th anniversary edition comes with genuine leather. They're not Softex, so it doesn't make a weird sticky noise, or it doesn't stick to your overall clothing or your body in general. This one it's not bad, but what I really come to appreciate are ventilated seats. It's about 80 degrees right now with the sun fully shining. Ventilated seats works wonders, and especially with the clothing, the type of clothing that you wear. If you're wearing like thin shorts, it's pretty much you're gonna be cool the whole ride over. But I just want to go ahead and mention the fact that if you have ventilated seats, then it's definitely a plus. It's definitely something to go ahead and consider in the future, because I am. But let's go ahead and just talk about the rear. Now, getting into the second row with ottomans, just in general, the 7-seat configuration is, I would say, the most optimum, unless you really need this, the middle row bench seat, as you can see right here, with the removable middle seat. I would say this creates, the 7-seat config creates a more airy feel within the cabin. Let me go ahead and just open up the right side passenger door. Right, the sliding door, as it opens, you can already tell it creates a more airy feel, more open cabin. And not only are these very cool, I think it's very convenient. First, we go ahead and you could go ahead and get more room, and it's very easy to go ahead and push back and slide forward and so forth. All right, so let's go ahead and just do a quick demonstration. Usually we go ahead and load the girls with the front cap, with these captain's chairs moved all the way up to the front for easy loading. After you're done, we could go ahead and use the super slide option and just bring them back like that. And mama gets to go in, or I get to go in, whoever. And then there's a direct passageway to the rear third row. Now, not only is this convenient for the girls, right, or for us getting in and out, but it's also convenient for loading everything in here. Like long objects, I had a bumper bully right here that I could go ahead and just fit just like that, right? You could go ahead and just walk through the minivan without, you know, ideally you don't want to hit yourself on the way out, but that's the minivan. You can't do this in the 3-row SUV. That's just my point. Now, seating comfort in the third row is also very good, especially if you have the super long slides. You could configure back and forth however legroom that you need, all right? But if you have, this is equipped with the 60-40 split by default. If you have only 2 people in the back, you don't need the full third row. You could go ahead and fold this down, get, I don't know, like a crate, for example, for your pup. There's good enough amount of space, and still have room for your rear cargo, especially your stroller, your wagon, anything like that. Also, what's good about it is you have a ton of charging capabilities, like the USB-C port here and USB-A port here, volume control for your rear entertainment system. But the neat feature is, the most, I think, a must-have is the fact that we have ventilation on the third row. Third row ventilation is not offered in all 3-row SUVs, not many. So I think having this creates more of a less claustrophobic feel. You have more air, you have more breathability and stuff like that. So I think the most important thing is having a third row. We could go ahead and bring grandparents with us, and everyone in one car, and everyone in one vehicle for the road trip. Third selling point would be easy accessibility and convenience. Minivans, they simplify these daily routines with sliding doors and low entry points, so making it very easy for kids to go ahead and climb on in, right? Our girls know exactly how to use the handles. They know how to open the doors, and they go ahead and step. You can see from, maybe you can't, very dirty from here, from all the stepping, but very easy entry for both mommy and babies. Now, I know for a fact that the minivan itself, lengthwise, is not going to go ahead and fit in many compact spots in the city, but in terms of widthwise, we were late for an appointment one day, and quick story, the only parking space was a really narrow gap that was 90-degree parking, and our minivan fit. We opened the sliding doors, the girls jumped right out, and we were rushing to the appointment already. Now, other cars could have maybe hit our car door when they were getting into it, but our doors won't mess up their doors. So that was the most important thing for us to go ahead and make that appointment. And here we are, sliding doors for the win. Now another scenario right here, we load the girls in, we're ready to go, right? But we forgot to close the door. So what would we do? Well, let me go ahead and go around. Or actually, I could go ahead and do this. You could go ahead and say, hey, we forgot to close the door. I'm already in the driver's seat. Oh, no worries. We could go ahead and just close the door like so, right? Now, another thing, I shouldn't have closed it that fast, but another thing is when we're visiting grandma and grandpa and they want to say the goodbyes to the girls, we don't have to open the windows because of the shades there. So the shades are also a cool thing too, because it has built-in sunshades right there, and combine that with the XPEL tints, it really keeps everything much cooler. All right, so let's say, we forgot to go ahead and say goodbye to grandma and grandpa, right? And they're rushing out of the house and they want to say goodbye. All we have to do is open a sliding door. Sliding doors for the win again. Another convenience feature I like is the rear kick tailgate. Now, I never had this in my vehicles, so excuse me if I'm bringing redundancy or late technology to the game, right, to discussion. But here we are going to close the vehicle. Another convenience feature I want to mention, it's not going to be available for all Siennas, but the availability of a 1500 watt inverter, if your Sienna is allocated with one, would be pretty much a game changer as well, especially when you have a vacuum that you need to go ahead, a third-party vacuum with better suction power. You go ahead and clean your vehicle in very short time, right? Versus having a shop vac or having a car vac in the vehicle. This goes ahead and really makes the most of it. Now we also have a portable fridge that we could go ahead and put here, or the trunk space, and we could go ahead and just power this up and have it keep everything cool on our road trips. So this one is, there's one in the front, there's one in the back, and there's one in the front. Now my next selling point would be safety first. Now this Toyota Sienna is equipped with Toyota Safety Sense 2.0. Granted, I gotta admit, this is pretty much dated already. I think 2.5 is out, 3.0 is out, and 3.5 is incoming. I'm not sure what they entail or what new safety features they go ahead and incorporate, but we already have the blind spot monitoring, the lane keeping assist, the rear backup assist, adaptive cruise control, and all that. Sometimes speed limit signs depending on where you are. I think that in general it has enough to keep us feeling safe, especially with those inside and those around us. Now this is also IHSS Top Safety Pick Plus for 2023, so that gives us a peace of mind too in terms of crash ratings. Speaking about crashes, I feel like back then owning the Mark 7 Golf R and driving the girls around, I took it pretty slow, but there were a lot of people, it definitely wasn't me, or in my head, tailgating us. But from there, I think the minivan in general keeps you low key, I think. They'll tailgate you, but they'll move away or they'll switch lanes. They won't be on you for a long period of time. But having thought about that, I kept having like a nagging thought in my head that the Mark 7, if God forbid it got into some sort of accident, the small miniature frame itself is not gonna go ahead and hold up well against larger vehicles. So that's why we went and we spoke about the larger SUVs, compact SUVs even, but ultimately it was a hard decision between the RAV4 Prime. Eventually we moved into the 3-row SUVs versus a minivan. And as you can see, here's what we ended up with. But my next segment, I want to kind of talk off topic. And for those minivan owners out there who are in the same situation, 3-row SUVs or Siennas, let's go ahead and just talk about why you should really consider a minivan. Now, talking about larger vehicles for safety purposes, I really want to go ahead and kind of talk about what we went through in terms of the 3-row SUVs. We definitely looked at a lot of stuff. We started looking at the Outback. We started looking at the Telluride, the Atlases. Those were the cars that it was achievable for us. But ultimately, what I really wanted was an Acura Type S, MDX Type S, and I think that was it still is one of my favorite cars currently in terms of three-row SUVs. I think it's a nice blend between performance, luxury, and also convenience, right? Now, we did go ahead and put the price, our deposit down for a RAV4 Prime, and long story short, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, $7,500 was no longer available to us after, I think it passed back in November of 2022. So almost a year back prior, we started looking at the Sienna. And from the Sienna, we got on a wait list. The wait list was pretty long, and ultimately take a look at my previous videos on how we got this, but pretty much we were lucky. Right place, right time, and we got ourselves into a 25th anniversary edition. That's why the line was much shorter, but again, I digress. Now, talk about the RAV4 Prime. I feel like if we got into RAV4 Prime, it would have been such a different story in terms of comfort and convenience. It will be a repeat of what the XC60 is, meaning that mama will be in the back, two seats right here, Diono right side to side. The girls are kind of flailing, kicking each other, right? Cramped. No entertainment, and from there, the AC would have been opposite direction, blowing at their car seats, the backing, versus the AC on top, right, on the headliner. So definitely, I feel like the RAV4 Prime would have been efficient for us, but wouldn't be the right vehicle. Now, if you're deciding between a three-row SUV, especially like a Highlander, right, if you want to stay within the family, I would definitely not recommend it. I think truth of the matter is, if you have two toddlers, ages 2 and up, this minivan or a minivan in general will change your life. It'll make life much easier. Right now, besides the Grand Highlander, I haven't been in one, so I don't know about the third row space or legroom that they're toting. I definitely know that the Grand Highlander doesn't have the sliding doors and also the lower capacity floor in the trunk area. But I know for a fact that the Highlander hybrid, or Highlander in general, has very little legroom in the third row. It's not usable, and we're so glad that we went and chose a Sienna or minivan versus a three-row SUV. Our next selling point would be our incoming road trips and the entertainment capabilities of this vehicle. So here we have the rear entertainment system, but first of all, a minivan in general, it basically transformed our minivan into one of the most capable road trippers out there, capable vehicles. But in general, we're hoping that we're gonna have a lot of treasured memories for our family to go ahead and remember in the future or in the years to come. One driving point home for the Sienna would be the fact that it's a hybrid. It's the only hybrid right now that's offered. And it's only hybrid with all-wheel drive. The other choice would be a Pacifica, which is a plug-in hybrid. And I believe once you run out of the electric cruising range, it reverts back to the Pentastar V6. And that, with your range, isn't as good, or that's my belief. All the rest of the cars should be front-wheel drive. If not front-wheel drive, definitely all V6s. Definitely good for power. The 3.5 V6 in the Odyssey, definitely one of the better sounding engines out of the whole lineup. But we wanted this. We wanted hybrid. Gas mileage has been terrific. Estimated 35 miles per gallon. And this is totally beating that average. So I think that's terrific. We'll take it. Never had a vehicle this gas efficient. Definitely, if you guys are on the wait list for the Sienna, and considering not wanting to wait too long of a wait, a year and a half to 2 years is too long of a wait, which it is. Want to go for the Odyssey, definitely consider maybe waiting because of the fact that you're not going to go fast in the minivan anyway. You have adequate power, and the Sienna checks all the boxes for a minivan, for a family vehicle. So moving on to one of our few other last points, let's go ahead and park the car. Now, my mindset now versus the past 20 years is completely different. I definitely think there are phases in your life, but trust me when I say I never thought about a minivan before kids, or even then. three-row SUVs before a minivan. And like the title says, I will never drive a minivan. But here we are now, right? The amount of comfort and space that this car provides, this van provides, along with countless moments of amazing memories so far with the family, has been priceless. So I'm definitely glad this is our vehicle of choice and we didn't stray. I'm not the only one who loves the Sienna. All right, my wife loves the Sienna. The girls love the Sienna. This car, the van, cut our getting ready time in half. Now, those of you who know, you know that there's a journey before the actual journey. So every time my wife tells me she loves a minivan, good choice, babe, it definitely gives me a sense of validation.
You like the Sienna?
The fact that they love it makes me love it.
Are you comfortable, Daddy?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm sure, okay.
你哋中意嗎？
Daddy sacrificed a lot for this. You know? No.
好慘啊！
Hey, 靚妹，你做咩睇啲 premium leather 啊？
So overall, this is just an explanation to all the guys out there who are considering three-row SUVs. Definitely go ahead and consider this. Now, do I enjoy driving the minivan? That's a different story. I feel like it's not the Golf R. I keep talking about the Golf R. I miss it dearly. You can see it evident here with this memorabilia that I kept from the Mark 7. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to just go for a drive, right? You hop in and you're saying you're stressed, let's go for a drive. This car will not be it. And that's just my opinion, right? Anybody else could disagree. A drive is a drive. But for me, I guess it's missing that fun factor. There's no regrets for sure. But what I'm trying to say is getting this definitely transformed our transition into parenthood. And it definitely made life a lot easier. And again, for those who know the amount of work you have to go ahead and put in getting ready and then finally rolling out, I think having a minivan improves on that. But remember that scene, Paul Walker? He's revving his engines, goes a few feet, zooms out, pans out, and you see him in a Pacifica, right? And he wasn't happy. On the contrary, Han, right? He goes ahead and tells us that a 4th generation XL40 Sienna hybrid is one of his favorite vehicles to date. Don't quote me, but I remember seeing that.
Today I brought my probably my most favorite car I've ever owned in my life. I have a 2022 Toyota Sienna LE. Toyota Sienna LE.
This is what I found on eBay. I think it's the irony is the humor in all this. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with anything that I said today? Did I make a good argument? For everyone who hasn't considered a minivan, did I convince you to actually look into one? And everyone else who says, I'll never drive a minivan, me included, never say never.